Well, hello everybody. It's Pastor Phil here at St. Andrew Lutheran Church. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe and hope you are being patient with this world in which we live. This is just a little video to check in with everybody, to say hi, let you know how I'm doing, what we're doing here at the church, and some of the things that are going on. We do have a task force that has been put together that we're going to be meeting to determine how to reopen, possibly when, although we're not going to be setting a date. And here's a couple of reasons why. Today is June 8th. The casinos, some of the casinos have just opened up recently. And what we thought, and what's going to be over the next couple of weeks, I understand, is about 400,000 people are going to be going back to work. Now, I would like to see what happens with the amount of virus that we find, whether there's going to be a huge spike in the cases that are reported and so forth. That will tell us an awful lot about how we are doing as far as keeping this from spreading, which will have a lot to do with how you and I wind up back in the sanctuary on a Sunday morning for church. So I was hoping that people could be patient. Let's watch and see what's happening. I can give you examples from other churches, couple of other Lutheran churches that just started up this past week, and some of the things that they're doing. One church who has chairs in their sanctuary instead of pews, they have a rather large sanctuary. They set chairs up 6 feet apart, and they had services at 8, 9, 10, and 11. There were 15 people at one service, 30 people at another service, and so forth. So there was small groups of people who would come in, and there were only 35-minute services, so that you would have 10 minutes to disinfect and then 10 minutes for people to gather in for the next service. Over those 4 services, the pastor had a little over 100 people when they normally have 300. Another person had a similar experience in their church. They had chairs. They set them 6 feet apart. And while it was good to be worshiping together, one of the comments that they did hear from people is that, we really felt not very connected because you have to stay so far apart from somebody. Plus, everybody was wearing masks. And in the one church, they had a policy that if a person came in and they did not have a mask, what they would do is they would be presented with a mask. They had masks that they could give people. And if the person wore the mask, they could come in. If a person chose to come in, their policy was going to be, if they refused to wear a mask, their policy was going to be the pastors would leave and the service is over. That's how important it is. So when we get together, we will be asking people to wear masks as well. I know some people refuse to wear them for a variety of reasons. And I know that there are some people who maybe because of physical reasons cannot wear a mask. You just have to be patient and not come to the service because you'll be asked to leave, which is a terrible thing to have to do to somebody. Another church that's starting up is going to be taking temperatures of people as they come in. They will have infrared thermometers to begin with. If you register 100 or above, you have the opportunity to sit down and relax for a couple of minutes because the sun may have made your skin hot. So those infrared ones are not necessarily reliable. So they do have the opportunity for you to take a thermometer under the tongue. And then if your temperature is normal, then you can come in. If it's still 100, then you'll be asked not to worship. I think it just seems so unusual for us, but we don't know about this virus. Let me talk to you a little bit about Holy Communion as well. Right now we're celebrating Holy Communion in our homes. Not everybody agrees with that process. I think it's fine for us for right now. I think God is honoring that. I don't think we're breaking any rules in that sense. When we get back together in the church, do we want to have Holy Communion? And how can we possibly do it? Well, here's something to consider. One church, just this past Sunday that opened up, decided not to have communion for this reason. There is a huge amount of air circulating in the building constantly with the air conditioner going. And if the elements are out, Could they not be infected with anything that might be in the air, as well as anybody else? I don't know. The doctors that I have spoken to said, yeah, I mean, it's in the air, it is airborne. So if you're circulating this throughout your system, I don't care how good your filters are, this could get through and it could land on any kind of elements that are out there. Is there a way that we can keep all the elements completely covered over, right? And then at a certain time, kind of lift everything off and get it out real quick? I don't even know if that's going to work. But we can continue to have communion at home. So that remains to be seen whether we're going to be celebrating Holy Communion in church or not. Right? We're just not sure. We have a lot of unanswered questions. It would still be worth worshiping together. Or maybe what we do is we just go back to having communion only once a month for a little while. So that way it's just less chance of anything having to be, transmitted through this having Holy Communion. So those are some thoughts around Holy Communion. There's a lot of unknowns in this, folks. We just don't know what the upshot is going to be. And we also have learned over this time that we are all little aerosol cans walking around, spewing out stuff constantly. I happen to know at my age, with my teeth the way that they are, when I preach in front of the church, I know occasionally spit comes out. I'm surprised the people in the front row don't have big plastic sheets that come in all the time. I understand how this happens. So same thing with choir singing. We can't be having people singing right into the neck of the person in front of them, and because you're only this far away from each other in there. So choir will be a while off yet as well, only just for the safety of the whole thing. Also, there are a number of people who have told me that even when we do get back together, they're not coming, only because of their compromised immune system or some other reason that they might be more prone to getting this virus. So we are looking forward, though, to getting back together. We're not going to set a date yet. We want to have all our ducks in a row. And if we're going to have, for example, 3 services at which only 50 people can come each time, we're supposed to limit it to 50 people. Should be about 25% of your normal amount of people. Well, what about that? How are we going to get people in? Which service are you going to come to? If we have 8:30, 9:30, and 10:30, and they're only 35-minute services, brief services, but we will be worshiping together. Not a lot of singing, and not a lot of responses either. So it's going to be shorter. Not the sermon. I can hear you. But, so we have to decide what that's going to look like and how will we meter people in so that, and what happens if we get 50 people in there and about 10 more come. See, that's just why we got to do this very carefully, right? Do we want to have a system whereby we register for the service? There are some online apps that we can get and so forth. I don't even know if we want to go that far with it. I think we could be fine if we just kind of take our chances, because I don't think we're going to have all 300 people show up at our church the very first Sunday that we're open. We will also be asking people to wear masks when we do open up, just for the time being. Okay, only because we think that's fair for everyone. I'm in the grocery store yesterday. I had a mask on. And I am doing that not because I don't necessarily want to get something, because I understand masks don't necessarily keep you from getting something, because it could be on your skin, I suppose. But I was in the grocery store, and I think 35%, maybe even 40% of the people I saw walking around were not wearing masks. I also remember standing about 4 feet away from someone, and they were coughing and hacking into their hand without a mask on. And I quickly moved out of that aisle. I think I was going the wrong way, but I didn't care. We need to be careful. We need to love the neighbor. The way you love your neighbor is to be as cautious as possible. Wear the darn mask. Okay, so I'll get off of that horse. Now, what else do we want to talk about? So for those of you who are kind of chomping at the bit to get back to church services, when we do get back to church services, they are not going to look like the church services you used to have. They're not going to sound like it. There's not going to be that much music. So we're going to have to focus on something different. Pray for me, Michelle, Brian, all the rest of our staff here who are praying about how best to lead worship so that when we do leave after this 35-minute service, we will have the sense that we really were in worship together and that we were praising God together. So pray for us, would you please? Why don't I end this segment right now with just praying for God's blessings for you. Praying that you might continue to look to Jesus Christ, who is the author, the perfecter of our faith. You know, I ended up a number of our Bible studies with a little phrase that I learned a long time ago that said, walk with the King today and be a blessing. Of course, we mean walk with Jesus, King Jesus today, and be a blessing to others. I learned that from a very dear minister who was a mentor to me. His name was Dr. Robert A. Cook. I didn't know him very well personally, but he was a mentor to me through the radio. He was a president of a Christian college called the King's College in Briarcliff Manor, New York. And he used to end all of his radio broadcasts with, remember, dear friends, walk with the King today and be a blessing. I thought it was a little bit stilted and a little bit religious sounding, but you know, it's a good message, you know? So walk with the King today and be a blessing. Till next time, God bless.